Are you quitting smoking and you're reading Allen Carr's book, The Easy Way to Quit Smoking, and you're worried that there may be information in the book that may lead you down the wrong path, but there's also likely information in the book that will lead you down the right path to being successful at your quit attempt? If you want to know what information will help you to quit smoking and what information will stop you and get in your way, then this video is for you. In this video, we will go through the top 3 things that Allen Carr gets right and the 3 things he gets wrong. The very first thing that Allen Carr gets right in his book is he says there's no such thing as just one cigarette. I'll give you an example. This happens to pregnant women all the time. They get pregnant and they quit, no problem. No withdrawal, no cravings, no nothing. And then what happens? A year and a half goes by and they go out with their girlfriends and they think to themselves, I can have just one. I beat it. And they have just one and boom, they're smoking again, just like that. The first thing that Allen Carr gets wrong is he says really early on in the book that fear doesn't work, that it's not effective, that it won't get you to quit. And he's actually right about that. That's not the part he's wrong about. Here's the part that he's wrong about. Almost all the content in the book is fear-based. When you start smoking, you light a fuse. The trouble is, all capitalized, you don't know how long the fuse is. Every time you light a smoke, you are one step nearer to the bomb exploding. How will you know if it's the next one? It is essentially riddled throughout the whole book, fear, and it's really not going to help you to quit. The next thing that Allen Carr gets right is that smoking does not give you less stress. In fact, it gives you more. Here's what he actually says in the book. Smokers' lives are significantly more stressful than non-smokers. This is because tobacco doesn't relax you or relieve stress, as the brainwashing would have you believe. Just the opposite. Nicotine is a stimulant that causes smokers to become more agitated and stressed. In fact, if you want more information, I'll put a link right up here to my video on the science behind stress and smoking and what's really going on. You can watch that. The next thing that Allen Carr definitely gets wrong in the book is he says that it's an addiction and not a habit. In fact, he goes into great detail about the addiction over and over and over again. The book is completely riddled with it. I'll give you just a couple of examples. It is the most addictive drug known to mankind. He then says, the only reason you smoke was to feed the little monster. You are a drug addict. But he says more than that. He absolutely says it is not a habit. He says, smokers make the mistake of believing that smoking is a habit, but smoking is not a habit. It's a drug addiction. Now, why don't you stop and think about this? He is basically saying that it's just an addiction, it's not a habit. We know from science this isn't true. He actually gets this wrong. But that's actually not the worst of it. Here's what he actually says in his book after going on and on and on about it being an addiction. The real problem is, guess what he says the real problem is? The real problem is psychological. The real problem is psychological.
The real problem is psychological.
So he's saying it's just a psychological problem, not an addiction. It's incredibly confusing if you stop and actually look at the book in its totality. And the truth is, we know from science that smoking is not really an addiction. The third thing that he gets right, and to me, it's actually my most favorite, is his chapter entitled The Advantages of Being a Smoker. And you'll see, it's just a blank page. Why? Because there are no advantages to being a smoker. The thing we talk about in my course is there's not a single problem in the world that smoking has ever solved. Not a one. The last thing that Allen Carr gets really wrong, in fact, he has a whole chapter dedicated to it. It's chapter 30. It's called Will I Put On Weight? In the very first sentence, he says, this is another myth about smoking and quitting. Listen to what he says at the very end of the chapter. He says, let's be clear about this. Stopping smoking does not lead to weight gain. But the truth is, we've actually known for 40 years. There has been 4 decades of scientific research on the connection between nicotine and it being an appetite suppressant. And get this, there have been over 100,000 studies. But don't take my word for it. From Harvard, from the Harvard Health Publishing Medical School, a brief study suggests how nicotine suppresses appetite. Or this from the academic journal called Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism. The appetite suppressant effect of nicotine is enhanced by caffeine. We know from the science, and we've known for a very, very long time, that nicotine is an appetite suppressant. It is well known, and we've known for over 40 years. This is another thing that he gets absolutely dead wrong in his book, and you should absolutely ignore it. In fact, what you should do is plan for the fact that weight gain is likely. So let's quickly review the 3 things that you should hold on to, and Allen Carr gets right. Number 1, there's no such thing as just one cigarette. The second thing that Allen Carr gets right is that smoking actually causes you more stress, not less stress. The third thing that Allen Carr gets right is there's not a problem in the world that smoking will solve. Here are the 3 things to absolutely not pay any attention to and let go of from the book. 1, the fear. The book is just chock full of fear. The second thing you want to throw away is that smoking is an addiction. It's not an addiction. It's going to lead you down the wrong path. It's going to be very hard to quit. We know from science it's mostly habit and your critical faculty. The third thing you want to throw away is that nicotine is not an appetite suppressant. It is an appetite suppressant, and we know from decades and decades and decades and tens of thousands of research papers in academic journals, it is absolutely an appetite suppressant. So just throw that away and ignore it. If this video was helpful to you, then please subscribe to the channel. All we do is give you tips, tricks, and hacks on how to quit smoking. Make sure you hit the notification button. All it does is tells you when I post new content. And if you feel like you need more help because you're just kind of stuck and you want that free additional help, in the description is a link to my calendar. Just book yourself into a free 15-minute phone consultation. It's fun and it's easy. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Blessings to everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.